Thanks a lot. I'm grateful for my opportunity to take part in the scientific event. It's a great pleasure for me and my country. Notwithstanding Russian invasion in my country, I'm now with you and try to attract your attention and the question how to improve legal education skills due to practice which is diversity in my country. The fast development of information technologies had led to a global digitalization of society. The consequence of such a phenomenon in the field of legal education is a formal of the environment of development data processing, modular construction of information system. As a result, the process of accumulation of knowledge for the formation of professional competence, skills, educational goals, skills has been gradually changing for the form of its implementation. Well-known higher education goals, which are exposed in such elements as knowledge, understanding, the forms of their obtaining have been changing. Higher law education institutions are not main resource of educational anymore. Those basic educational goals, the achievement of which is the task of higher education, do not get a corresponding positive reflection in society. And high level of knowledge the absence of skills of the application is a main factor of professional deformation of future lawyers. Thus, at the present stage of the process of improvement of higher lawyer education, the methodology of teaching legal disciplines, the introduction of innovative teaching methods into the educational process requires dramatic changes. The study of professional disciplines shapes a systematic idea about legal process, legal awareness, and depth training for students in the field of jurisprudence. That's why, it's in our opinion, we are paying objective attention to the European integration process, which have been happening in Ukraine now in our university. Of course, at the present time, is a legal teaching priority. Besides the methods of teaching, the educational material taking into account the general European approaches and principles is very important. Undoubtedly, the use of innovative methods changes usual process of teaching. The material of old-fashioned traditional methods are replaced by active innovating learning in the process, of which the rules of interaction of the professor and students are corrected. The student becomes not only an active participant of the educational process, but he or she is forced to think independently and solve certain problems. And the teacher becomes a mentor of the way of improving the personality. The relationship between students and teacher will have a form of equal partnership. In order to achieve high efficiently in studies, it's necessary to take into account such principles as systematically, integrity, and combination of different forms of training a professional lawyer. The specificity of teaching legal disciplines is the need to form not only an understanding of the subject in student, but also to give the opportunity to independently develop practical skills of applying the acquired knowledge. At the same time, considerable attention paid to applied component of the educational process of lawyers, for example. As the creative component of educational grows significantly, the role of all participants in the educational process intensifies. The creative and exploratory independence of students strengthens, and the implementation concept of problem-based and interactive learning becomes especially relevant today. During such studies, the students enters into a dialogue with the teachers, perform creative problematic tasks, answer questions that develop analytical and critical thinking, puts question to teacher and other participants. Creative cooperation of the teacher with students is attractive. They solve problems together, model situation, evaluate the actions of classmates and their own behavior. The specified system is confirmed by the fact that during the period of studying, the students are adapted, get used to the traditional methods of education, which lead to the shortage of number of the independent scientific researchers, and influences the knowledge quality in the negative way. It seems like they create comfort zone where they feel safe, and it blunts the desire to obtain acquired knowledge in an active way. This is why the main task of teachers in this context is to produce and implement nowadays techniques and methods of study, the alternative implementation in educational process, which provokes in activation of a Christian student's potential. Taking into account the inseparable link between theory and practice, the teaching of legal discipline requires a positive disproportion of doctrinal teaching of the materials in relation to the relevant practical processing of theoretical knowledge. At the same time, taking into account the pace of development of society, individualization, specialization of acquired knowledge, the change of force proportion in the ratio of theoretical and practical should be prioritized towards the later one, the practical. In our opinion, this is due to the fact that narrow specialization of lawyer requires not much the theoretical study of educational material, but a life improvement of practical skills in the process of obtaining. At the same time, considering the world strengths of the field of education, one can emphasize certain specific and innovative methods that are widely used in the legal disciplines, teaching and help to establish a reasonable balance between theoretical and practical skills. Among them, the methods of problem statements, discussion, group works and brainstorming methods, the critical thinking methods, mini research, business and role-playing games, the blitz polls methods, etc., should be especially noted. The case study methods or methods of certain training situation is widely noticeable among the legal teaching methods in the majority of European countries, especially in Ukraine, in our university. Its specific nature contains in a principle denial of a single correct solution as a result. The students are constrained to take independent decisions and prove them. They participate jointly with the teacher in a direct discussion of business situation or task case, which are usually prepared in a written form and composed on a real fact basis, where the student takes part one the same. Nowadays, an innovative process in the field of higher law education is show the introductions of such new educational form like a legal clinic. Its goal is to train legal graduates for the future practical activities. Thus, it had been already ascertained that the traditional education, which is based on explanatory, illustrative, and reproductive methods, leads only to a process of transfer already known, final knowledge to a student's legal norm, commenting, scientific definition, explanation, etc. As a result, passive attitude of the students towards education. The education in a legal clinic is built on new technologies. At each phase of education and work in the clinic, the students not only keeps all the information in his heads that he traditionally obtained in the lecture at academic lessons, but also tries to apply it to the realities of legal practice through the correspondent educational methods. That's the main idea how we are trying to improve legal educational schools in our country, and I'm sure that this is a positive effect we may also implement in your system, and I'm sure that these positive moments of educational system in Europe will be positive for improve educational skills. Wish all peace. Thank you for attention.